everyone, and welcome to the Town Board regular meeting for Tuesday, June 25th, 2019. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic, a nation, God, for all. So before we begin, I would like to remind everyone that there is a primary election still going on tonight at all of our polling places that's currently underway. Polls are open until 9 p.m. tonight for registered Democrats and Independence Party voters. Specifically on the ballot are 2 Westchester County Court judge positions. Next, before our public hearings, I would
roll call first.
Oh, sorry. No. Are we doing roll call before? Okay, we have to do roll call.
Yeah.
After the public hearings. Okay, roll call.
Okay, Councilmember Meyer.
Here.
Councilmember Shaw.
Present.
Councilmember Wiltshire.
Present.
Councilmember Feldman.
Present.
And Supervisor Levenberg.
Here, speaking out of order as usual. Okay, so before we begin, further, because I already said before we begin once, I would like to start by introducing our new Ossining Town Council member, Greg Meyer. We are so excited to get Greg started in this position. We're quite certain that his experience in government in multiple offices at the state and county levels, as well as a volunteer on some of our local village planning and land use boards, as well as his enthusiasm for serving our Ossining community, will serve him and our community very well in this new role as town council member. So welcome, Greg.
Thank you, everybody.
Hey. Want to say anything? Okay. All right. I didn't think so. Man, a few words. We like that. Okay. So next up, we have public hearings on our referenda. We are going to continue the public hearings regarding the 3 local laws currently under consideration to be put to public referendum. They are to convert the elective offices of Town Superintendent of Highways, Receiver of Taxes, and Town Clerk to appointive offices. If the town board adopts any of these local laws, the public would vote on separate referendum for each local law on the ballot at the November 2019 general election. These laws will only go into effect if approved by a majority of the voters in November. Last week, we posted some frequently asked questions about this important topic online, and some printed copies are available this evening if you would like in the back of the room. If you are having trouble accessing this document on our website, please contact my office at 762-6001. The frequently asked questions document highlights why the town board has chosen to offer these options to the public, namely because the board believes that the passage of these pieces of legislation will save money, increase accessibility to government offices, standardize processes, allow us to work faster, modernize our systems, and promote flexibility. It's important to bear in mind that no decisions have been made. The town board is considering these 3 pieces of legislation to allow you, the public, to ultimately decide on election day. We look forward to this ongoing discussion tonight with the continued public hearing. Is there anyone here that wishes to address the board on these proposed local laws? Please come up to the microphone, and you have about 4 minutes each. Say your name and where you live, please.
Cindy Lamar, Haymont Terrace. I don't think I'll need 4 minutes because the FAQs seem to answer some of my questions. But the whole idea of taking rights away from citizens is extremely disturbing and, in fact, very Trumpian. There's no guarantee that whoever will be doing the appointing will not be putting in friends, relatives, son-in-laws, daughters, what have you. We need to keep electing people. And hey, if people are running unopposed, then perhaps in order to get a diversity of opinion, perhaps town board people could encourage others to run for positions rather than deciding on your own or picking from a list and going down the list. You know, we need elections. We need people, residents, to decide who will serve their community very much the same way that we elected all of you. Thank you.
You. Anybody else here? It's the board.
My name is Andre Lamar, 12 Haymont Terrace, and I chide you folks for having set this particular meeting on a day like this. Let me see why. Number one, it's a polling day. Some of our citizens are still working from 7 o'clock this morning, and maybe even earlier, until 9 p.m. Well, they can't be here. They express their opinion. I know at least one, but that's a vote. One. Today's the last week of school, and almost the very last day. Parents are considering such things as vacation for themselves and also for their children. Also, extra efforts are being made by the staff, and many of the staff members in this community live in this town because they're proud of one of the finest school districts in the entire county. And those teachers are occupied with slightly extra work, making sure that they're finished with appropriate letters of recommendation, with making sure that certain youngsters get a second chance, a chance to work at a camp, a letter of reference for the college or something like that. And none of those teachers. Well, I guess they're not here tonight. And the parents themselves are making sure that those teachers are doing that job for them and also preparing their own children to start packing for school. Have you been to one of the major shopping centers and seen how busy they happen to be right now? It's absolutely amazing. They're spending a small fortune taking good care of their high school seniors. Oh, let me name some of the schools where the children from this school district are going. Let's see, Westchester Community College. Oh, another place such as that. The University of Chicago, MIT, NYU. One of my favorite youngsters said, oh, I got a great scholarship at Columbia. I says, oh, that's fantastic. He says, no, I'm going to go to Cornell. That's the kind of thing that is going on this week. And some of the kids are looking for summer jobs. Their parents are transporting them around, making sure that they have the appropriate clothing. Do you know that on some of the summer jobs, the people are required to have a uniform? Not so much provided by the place where they'll be working, such as the camp or Phelps Hospital, but they have to go to a store and buy that stuff. And all of this is taking place this week. You hold a meeting for the community on such a week? You should be ashamed. I am disappointed in my town board. By the way, congratulations. I think you're in a minority because you're taking from your expressions a lot of what I'm saying seriously. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, Mr. Lamar, for pointing out all of the wonderful things that our families and our teachers are doing this week. We're very thankful for all of the hard work they do and want to recognize everybody for the last week of school. The great news is that there's always something happening in our town, whether it's the middle of winter and it's hard to get out to a meeting, or it's the middle of summer. We wanted to make sure we got the meeting done before people got off to camp and started their summer vacation. So we have had this public hearing open for quite some time. This certainly is not the first time. And are we able to continue it, or are we going to be having to close it this evening? And I think we're even going to be able to keep it open a little bit longer. So we're going to make sure that everybody has plenty of opportunities to come out in public, and we thank you for doing so.
Please don't excuse me for this comment, but I found that your comments were inflected by a little bit of sarcasm as to what I said.
Not at all. Absolutely not. No sarcasm whatsoever. I'm very grateful for your comments. Is there anybody else here to address the board on the 3 referenda? Anybody here to address the board on the 3 referenda? Going once? Going twice? Okay, so Council Tomadonna.
I guess your next legislative session is July 9th. if you wanted to continue it to that meeting
Mhm.
and keep the public hearing has been open since about February, March, and there have been several public hearings that have been held on this.
Absolutely.
This is certainly not the first one, and it's one of many. But in the interest of continuing to allow the public to speak at every opportunity, you do have the option of continuing it to your July 9th meeting.
Do I have a motion to
Second.
keep the public hearing open and call for it to have adjourned to continue on July 9th? And we have moved and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Over there. On Meyer that he's not opposed. I couldn't.
I'm an aye.
You're good. Okay. I have to get used to the sound of your voice. No, I'm just joking. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so next up, we have a public hearing on our dog park law. To regulate registration for and use of the town's dog parks. So for the past few months, the town board has been discussing some changes to the chapter of the town code relating to dogs, dog licenses, and the dog park at Cedar Lane and the dog run at Ryder Park. This local law will codify the rules and regulations for both of these dog parks and streamline the process by which residents obtain dog licenses and register their dogs for use of the dog parks. Based on our discussions at work sessions, Town Council has drafted this legislation to address some of the issues that have been brought to our attention by the public and the Recreation Advisory Board. Council Tom Madonna, would you like to highlight anything specific before I open this up to the public?
So this is an amendment in addition to the existing Chapter 74 of the code that deals with dogs. And there were already certain provisions for requiring dogs to be licensed within the town. And the town board has held several work sessions on this matter in order to discuss the different comments and issues that have been raised. And some of the things that the town board was trying to achieve was to streamline the process of having dogs be licensed while also having them be registered for use of the dog parks, which would come with its own separate registration that would be renewed annually. The date that the board was considering was having it be June 1st and then expire the following year, and then the license and the registration would be done at the same time. And this would allow I think that we're still working through how that process would work a little bit, but there had been suggestions of having dog tags that would change colors annually so that people who are using the dog parks, it would be clear that their dogs have been properly registered for that time of year. So everything because we were working off of what's existing, the italics or the additional language, the strike through is deletions. And then there was a proposed additional Article 3, which deals specifically with the dog parks. There used to be a section of the code that pertained to parks that dealt with dogs, but that was repealed several years ago and nothing had been enacted in its place. So what is being proposed and for consideration by the town board is Article 3, which deals specifically with registration fees, how different types of residents, whether you're in the unincorporated town, the village of Ossining or the village of Briarcliff Manor, and then people who live outside of those three jurisdictions would be licensed and registered. And then it also is seeking to codify the rules and regulations that currently exist in the form of signage that appears on the dog parks, and to enact legislation to codify it so that then violations can be issued and they can be better enforced than they are now, because that was one of the comments that had been received. And so the list of regulations, which is set forth in proposed Chapter 74-21, is a culmination of those rules and regulations that the town board thought could be effectively enforced through legislation. But this is something obviously that's going to be a continuing discussion based upon comments from the public. And then there is going to be the opportunity for the superintendent of recreation, or if at a later period of time, there's a community board or group that is in place that is taking over kind of the oversight and control of the dog parks, then they could enact other regulations and rules as long as they're not inconsistent with what's in this legislation, in order to, based upon what's happening and what's being observed at any given point in time. And that was something that I believe was important to certain board members. And then violations that any person violating will be punishable by a fine of $250 per violation. And that was originally a sliding scale that went up with each violation, and the board did not want to see that happen. And so it'll just be a straight flat rate per violation.
I'm not sure if we have the rate. I'm not sure if we have the rate version. Where is the part about the other group? Under DE, Superintendent of Recreation. Is that where? If we have a friends group at some point that's reconstituted, if they would be able to have such.
I believe that was
That in a different section. Just looking in the wrong section. I might just have the wrong
I remember
printed
seeing
version.
if it's not in there, it should have been, and I apologize. for
Okay,
the
no, that's okay.
oversight.
I just
Um,
thought when you were going through it that it would have been right there, and I just didn't see it. So then I thought maybe.
So I was
No.
away last week, but did we reach
Yeah,
out
last
to the
week.
dog park? Oh, okay.
No, we said we were going to do it after we opened the.
Okay.
There was a list of different groups
Groups that
and
we wanted to reach out to
communities
and
that
have feedback from. Okay.
the municipalities, Ossining and Briarcliff Manor. There's some logistics that we would need to work out with Ossining because the village, because currently the clerk serves as clerk for the town and the village, and so it would make things a lot easier if the village were to be on board with the new process, because then they could just the clerk's office could just handle the licenses and registrations for all Ossining residents, town and village, not Briarcliff
Briarcliff,
Manor,
yeah,
because
all-
they're licensed separately.
All right. So
um,
we're just opening the public
we're
hearing
just-
and we'll start
I-
reaching out from there.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, I don't think there was any expectation of closing the public hearing
absolutely not.
tonight. And I apologize, I'm not
that's okay.
seeing it. I thought it was put in, but
Yeah, I thought so too.
the
So let's-
intention was for it to be in D,
D,
Superintendent of Superintendent of Recreation, the Superintendent of Recreation, or any, and I'll fix the language, I'm just speaking off the top of my head, and any board or group so authorized by the town board by resolution or something to that effect.
Okay. Okay, doke. Fantastic. Is there anybody here to address the board on the dog park legislation? Please approach the microphone, introduce yourself, and you have 4 minutes. Thank you. I'm Indy.
I am not a dog owner. I know nothing virtually about dog parks, but who would police this? Who would give out summonses? Or does somebody sit at the gate, and if the dog doesn't have the correct tag, they sit and write a citation or a summons? Or is this a police issue? Or how does that work?
So, like many of our laws, I will respond to this question. Like many of our laws, oftentimes, especially things that take place in our park, whether it's no smoking in the parks or I'm trying to think of a couple of other ones. I mean, even leaf blower legislation.
Open beverage.
Open beverage. A lot of times what happens is people report it because they see it and they don't want to deal with it themselves. This has happened to us recently where we had a couple of issues at our town, at our dog parks, and we've had them ongoing at actually both dog parks. One, what happened at the dog run, where somebody came in with a lot of dogs and scared away all the other people who had their little dogs. And so the little dog owners maybe go to somebody who they see who looks like they're an official in the park. Ultimately, we would have to call the police, but the police have no ability to enforce if we don't have the laws in place. So again, are we going around slapping citations to, give people citations for all this time? No, but a lot of times, again, it's a way for people at the dog park who are abiding by the law, going to get their permit, making sure that their dogs, not bringing in too many dogs, they're abiding by the law. They see people who aren't, and they don't have any, there's no repercussions. So they would report it, and we'd have a way to enforce it.
Okay, but that means that people who are not even residents, who bring dogs in, who are not problems,
But people
they're
who are
okay. They're okay.
people who are not residents are allowed to apply for also a permit.
I understand that.
Right.
But there are people, I'm sure, who aren't aware of our laws because they don't live here.
But we would
And
be
but-
posting them. That's required.
I'm sorry?
It's required that the laws are posted.
Well, okay. It's a dog park. People will find out about it. they'll bring their dog. If the dog is not a problem to anybody else, then no
So we lost the
citations will
15
be issued.
So we lost the $15. You're right.
So it's
Or
a money-making
$25.
proposition, and that's fine, you
Yes.
know?
I'm sorry. Most of the local dog parks in Westchester actually are for residents only, and they don't allow other outside residents. We actually do. We believe anybody can come to our dog parks, but it's important to have the dog because you want to make sure that the dog has its rabies shot and then it's neutered. And that, I get that. And I get that people do sometimes show up at dog parks with a dog and they're not registered. And a lot of towns won't let you in at all. Even if you're not a resident. Ossining will, but you do have to go register because we really can't have dog walkers were coming up from the city with 5 and 6 dogs and they weren't watching the dogs and the dogs were getting into trouble with the other dogs and it was a real problem. So the only way to fix this is to have a membership and to enforce that all the dogs have shots and that there aren't more dogs than a person could conceivably keep an eye on.
So nobody will be sitting there at the entrance.
Except for Friends of the, if
So it's-
in fact we
Well,
have
they
a newly
self-police.
constituted,
Self-police.
right,
okay.
self-police.
Right.
If we have a newly constituted Friends of group that decides that's then recognized, which we have had in the past, they're the ones who kind of started the dog park to begin with, then, they may have members who frequently go there and they would say, hey, I don't see a tag on your dog. And that was the other thing that we're trying to find a way to make it obvious. So it's easy to tell the haves and the have-nots within the dog park, and we can make sure that they actually are abiding by the law.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody here to address the board on the dog park local law? Going once? Going twice? Okay, we'd like to adjourn this. I think we'll go for the same date as we did the other, which was July.
That's your next legislative session.
Yeah, I think
I'm not-
that's.
Okay, and
I
in
think
the
that's enough
interim,
time. Well, I think that'll give, and in the interim, we're going to send it out to all of the groups that we said we would share with the municipalities. To get a first, we don't have to close it then.
We don't have to close it, but the conversation needs to start. We could post it, they come on the dog park group, but a little note in the dog park. They come talk about what you.
It's a summer, so I think if we give people, there's a couple of opportunities to adjust
Happy
the
to
board.
go up there.
Can I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing on the dog park legislation to July 9th?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so next up, law number 7.
no, the
I'm
next
sorry.
one isn't a local law. It's the community
Sorry.
development block.
Community Development Block Grant. I was going back. I want to talk about dogs a little bit more, Mr. Walter. Oh, sorry. I just wanted to do one more round. Okay, so we have our public hearing on the Community Development Block Grant applications for 2020 to 2021. Really? As you may remember, the town applied for 4 grants under the 2019 to 2021 cycle for the Community Development Block Grant funds from Westchester County Department of Planning last year. Each year we'd have the opportunity to update our applications. Actually, this past year, and we've talked about it a couple times, we did receive a grant for $75,000 towards a senior bus, which is an electric vehicle, and we're hoping to get the approval to go to contract on that soon from the county. We expect it any day. But we also have a couple of other applications we'd like to amend. So each year we have the opportunity to update those applications, which we plan to do for our applications for 2020 and 2021. We plan on closing the public hearing tonight so the town board can consider resolutions approving the budget changes for our application. This public hearing was continued from the last legislative session as we waited for budget numbers from our architect on proposed renovations to the senior nutrition program. Victoria Caffarelli, who is our grant wizard, can you give us an update on the budget for senior nutrition program updates to the kitchen?
Certainly. Okay, so we received from the architect earlier today budget numbers for what it's going to take to bring the kitchen kind of up to code on some issues, as well as making it more efficient for the use of the space that they have now, which is primarily reheating meals and assembling meals. They're not really doing a ton of actual cooking. So this is making the kitchen a warming kitchen, not a cooking kitchen, with some ovens and a more efficient use of space. So we're looking at a budget of about $266,000 for the entire project. Through CDBG, it's a 50-50 grant, so we have to match half. So we're going to be requesting from the county $133,000. We will be matching it with $133,000. We're currently looking for some other grant opportunities that can help support our match. We're hoping maybe we can get about $75,000 from a foundation that supports programs in senior centers. So hopefully we'll find out around the same time early next year if we're going to get the funding from both of these sources, so that we can have a really cost-effective kitchen that works really well for our senior nutrition program this time next year.
Absolutely. So with that, I would like to open it up to any public comment on the community development block grant applications 2019 to 2021. Is there anybody here to address the board? Going once? Going twice? Is there anybody on the board who would like to comment or ask any questions? Okay, hearing none. Might I have a motion to close the public hearing on the community development block grant applications for 2019 to 21?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Fantastic. So we are going to go into announcements. As I mentioned earlier, not that much earlier, but just in case you forgot, today is primary day in the state of New York. If you are a registered Democrat or independent party voter, please get out and vote. On the ballot are 2 judge seats on the Westchester County Court. Polls are open until 9 p.m. tonight, and you vote at your regular polling place for a general election. But you still have some time to get there. Last week, we canceled our work session on the topic of the River Knoll project for the proposed River Knoll project for the Stony Lodge property on Croton Dam Road due to a lack of a quorum. We have rescheduled that meeting for Tuesday, July 16th here at the courthouse, 8688 Spring Street, instead of our usual location of 16 Croton Avenue, so that we have some more room. As originally planned, we are devoting that work session to a board discussion about the River Knoll project, which has been proposed for the Stony Lodge site on Croton Dam Road, as I mentioned, and this project is still before the town planning board. We will begin at 7:30, and as an exception to our usual rule for work sessions, we will be allowing public comment specifically on our conversation and what the board is discussing. We hope that you can join us, but if not, we will be filming the work session and it will be posted to the town's YouTube channel the day following the meeting. We apologize for any inconvenience that our unplanned cancellation may have caused. Starting this week, arborists from Davie Resource Group have begun the process of inventorying street trees in the unincorporated town and trees in our parks and cemeteries. They will be in town for the rest of this week and maybe a few days next week. They're wearing Davie Resource Group uniforms and high visibility vests and only inventorying trees on town-owned property. This inventory is being funded by a grant from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. We're very excited to learn more about our trees and how they contribute so much to our environment and get any suggestions that we can through this grant on how we can even improve that. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact the supervisor's office at 762-6001. We are thrilled to announce Ossining Day at Leyland this summer. The county is introducing town days this year, and we will happily share with the village as well. On August 7th, Ossining residents will receive special discounts with proof of ID, proof of residency. These discounts include 1 free mini golf entry, 1 2-for-1 ride admission, 1 free beach or pool admission, and $1 off 1 food value meal. They'll also get a $5 discount off parking on your return visit to Leyland, so they really want you to come back. Stay tuned over the next few weeks for some more fun announcements about Ossining Day. Also, be sure to keep an eye out for Coaster, or Coasty, as we love and call him, in the supervisor's office and the village manager's office. The Playland mascot will be around Ossining as we prepare for a fun day at Playland later this summer. Mind, Body, Spirit Ossining continues this week with Recess Rocks from the Open Door on Friday, June 28th at 3:30 p.m. at Nelson Park. Celebrate the end of the school year by bringing your kids to Nelson Park to learn fun ways to stay active this summer. On Sunday, June 30th, head down to Engle Park for morning yoga with Club Fit instructor Lori Nemitz at 8 a.m. And stick around for Sharky, the belly dance workout with Solara Delphi at 11 a.m., also on Sunday. I can vouch for that being a great way to work out, and you do not need to show your belly. Registration is free, and although not required, if you register in advance, you will qualify for raffles and giveaways and be able to be reached if a class needs to be canceled due to weather. We're so pleased to announce that Club Fit and UMAC Briarcliff are offering raffle prizes for people that register for any Mind, Body, Spirit Ossining programs all summer, including a gift card to Club Fit, a UMAC birthday party, or a free month of classes at UMAC. Drawings will be held in September. Thank you so much to our partners, especially Club Fit, UMAC Briarcliff, and Open Door Family Medical Center for their hard work at making this summer's classes such a success. It's time to get ready for summer reading. The Ossining Public Library has a few events coming up this week to help you find some great books to dive into this summer. On Wednesday, June 26th, the library is officially kicking off summer reading with a celebration at 3 p.m. Come to register for one of their summer reading programs, enjoy some delicious snacks, play games, and dance the afternoon away, courtesy of a guest DJ. And summer reading is not just for kids. The staff at the Ossining Library will be happy to help you find some great summer reading selections to read along with your kids, grandkids, and littlest neighbors. We can all do our part to set good examples for Ossining students this summer by reading more and supporting our local library. Also tonight starts the annual St. Anne's Parish Festival, which runs every night until Sunday, June 30th, and that's probably why people aren't here. If you're watching with us live, you might still have some time to run over to enjoy the games, rides, and food selections. It really starts getting better after dark, and celebrate St. Anne's Multicultural Parish this opening night. St. Anne's Festival is a great way to kick off summer with your family and friends. And finally, it's hard to believe, but the 4th of July is next week. Join us at Ossining's annual fireworks display next Wednesday, July 3rd, with music from the J. Prince Band starting at 7 p.m. You're going to want to head down to Lewis Angle Park a bit early, around 5 p.m., because the Ossining Chamber has lined up a whole bunch of great food trucks, including our friends at Beats, who have recently added both a French onion and a clam chowder pizza to their menu, reported to be out of this world delicious. The Blue Pig will be there with their locally sourced ice cream, also pretty fantastic. And Ahi Limo is going to have ceviche and wings and shakes. Lemon Love will be there with popcorn and lemonade, frozen lemonade, and Lonnie's Fish and Chips has their awesome stuff. Sloppy Joe's, Sabor Bakery, and Broken Bow Brewery will be there, as well as our very own Sing Sing Kill Brewery, serving up their icy cold local craft beers. It should be quite a fantastic night. Food Truck Fridays and the Summer Concert Series will also officially kick off next Friday, July 5th, with DJ Johnny J and a dance party. There will be lots to do for kids too. Thank you to the Greater Ossining Chamber of Commerce for their help this year organizing the series, and thank you to our other sponsors, Speakeasy Creative Workspace, the Westchester Bank, Sterling National Bank, Matero Fine Jewelry, Rivernall, and Mark Seiden Real Estate for supporting this community favorite. And that brings us to any other announcements and or liaison reports.
I have one.
Okay.
I wanted to congratulate the class of 2019. I was at graduation. My son graduated, and it was a really lovely day. So congratulations to all of them. And also, the Ossining School District will be sponsoring its first Ossining Community Block Party on James Street on Wednesday, July 10th from 5 to 7. There'll be food, music, art, giveaways, interactive games, and much more. So come on out. It's welcome to all families.
And this is just block party number
Number
one.
one.
I think they have 4 of them planned
Correct.
for the summer, and they're partnering with the school district and the Ossining Police Department, and they have lots of great things, and I think they're even going to hopefully have some kind of mind, body, spirit Ossining also at that time. Hoping a little great physical activity. Anything else? We have a Lions Club event coming up this week.
We have a scholarship dinner for some of our great students who are graduating, who just graduated. That's Thursday night at Grace Hall over in Cronville.
Fantastic. Our fire
Well,
department.
season's getting underway. So far, everything's been safe. And, if you're interested in coming on down, taking a tour, or anybody interested in joining can go to obcc.org and click on membership, or just click around the website and learn some more.
I think that our Ossining Fire Department's having their inspection dinner this Saturday also, right? And
Yes.
that is going, I think it's at 6 o'clock. But there's all the fire trucks are going to be lined up down at Ingle Park. And it is really quite a sight to behold. All of the whole fire department comes out, and they make those trucks look even shinier than they always look anyway. So make sure that you come out, take a look at all of the equipment that is there to protect us every day. We don't want to take it for granted. We know that they have what they need to make sure that we're safe and sound and we can sleep well at night. Anything else? All right. So with that, let's move on. Next up, we have 2 departmental reports this evening. First, we are going to hear from our town assessor, Fernando Gonzalez. We love having you, Fernando, and you just finished grievance day, and we want to hear all they have to offer. Oh, we love having you too, John, don't worry.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
Fernando, how long have you been with the town now? Almost 9 years. I just want to point out that you were an excellent.
Almost 8 years. I came on board early in 2012.
2012. That was under Supervisor
Sue Donnelly.
Sue Donnelly. Okay. Who appointed you?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
So before I get into what we did this year with the tentative assessment role, let me remind you of the assessment calendar, which many of you know. Taxable status day for the town of Ossining and many towns in Westchester County is May 1st. And what that means that we value the property based on the condition as of that date, and that is also the deadline for exemption renewals and applications. And then after that is June 1st, which is when we publish the tentative roll, which not only we publish it for everyone to see what their new assessment is, but also we need to provide the state with a report of the tentative assessment roll. A lot of work goes into it. Basically, for us, since we are now at 100% of market value, we, of course, analyze the markets and make adjustments accordingly. And then after that, of course, grievance day is always the 3rd Tuesday in June. This year was Tuesday, June 18th. And then September 15th is final roll. The bar meets, makes all decisions regarding the grievances that were filed, and then by September 15th, we send notices to those applicants or those petitioners, rather, and we have to finalize the roll by September 15th. And again, not only is it published on the website, but we also have to provide reports to the county and the state. So in 2016, we did a townwide reassessment after 42 years. That was the first year that we brought the assessment roll to full value, 100% of market value. Prior to that, the roll was reflected as a percentage of value, a uniform percentage of value. In 2015, the roll was reflected at 5.65% of value. So in order to do all that analysis and to be able to come up with the right values for all these properties throughout the town, 10,200 parcels approximately, different sizes, qualities, styles, etc., a year built, we divided the town into neighborhoods. The first page here, which, by the way, this information has been posted on the website every year. We do analysis of sales, and we come up with adjustments for neighborhoods. We also may or may not adjust the commercial properties, which are based on the income approach to value. The residential properties value is based on the comparable sales analysis. So if you look at this printout, which, by the way, shows the adjustments that we did after the reassessment in 2016. One good example this year in the village of Briarcliff Manor, we adjusted the trying to get one that is familiar to everybody here. Indian Village neighborhood, neighborhood 6 was adjusted by 3%, a factor of 1.03%, meaning that based on the sales analysis that we did, sales in this neighborhood showed that they sold approximately on average 3% above the assessed value. So
Is
we
that
adjusted that neighborhood.
Briarsville?
As you can see, some neighborhoods got an adjusted down from the assessed value, or others, many neighborhoods did not get any adjustments, and the adjustment range between 1% and 3%, giving us an average adjustment townwide of about 1% increase in taxable assessed value on the residential side.
The 1.03 means 3%?
That's 3%. In other words, 3% above 100.
Okay.
So this document shows the adjustment that has been made since 2017. The initial year of the full value roll, 2016, during the reassessment. After that, during the last 3 years, we have been doing adjustment based on ratio analysis, meaning the ratio of sales price to assessed value. And that's what this represents during 17, 18, and 19. The next package, which is this document, basically this is from the assessor's report that is shared with the county and the state. It shows the results of the changes to the roll, and this shows the difference between the prior roll 2018 and 2019. I highlighted that the first page here is for the town general, which the upper part shows the assessment, total assessment by property class, 200 residential, 400 commercial, etc. And the lower part is by roll section. Roll section 1 is the taxable portion of the roll. And it shows here that we had an increase of $91 million in taxable assessed value from the prior roll to this roll. And then, of course, it shows the other roll section, like special franchise, roll section 5, roll section 6 utilities, and what the difference in assessed values is. So basically, looking at this document for the town general portion, or tax levy, or taxable assessed value for the tax levy, we will have an approximately 95 million increase in taxable assessed value. The other pages after shows the same report, but by municipality. The next page is the town outside villages, and then is the village of Ossining and the village of Briarcliff Manor. So this year, because of the way the real estate market has been going, we have an increase in taxable assessed value, not only because of an increase in equity, meaning value from one year to the next because of sales and the positive real estate market, but this also reflects changes in inventory, meaning new construction. So a large portion of this $95 million increase in taxable value is attributed to the club in Briarcliff, which is the first phase is almost completed. We had an increase of about $45 million on that project. We have other smaller projects that also came into play, as well as the several single-family residential newly built, and other improvements to properties such as decks, finished basements, additional bathroom. We get all the building permits from the building departments, and we update the inventory in our systems, and we put a value based on the analysis that we make every year. If you have any questions on this, or now or later, please.
So with that much more assessed value within the whole town, that help bring our rates down? I mean, I know there are other factors, but if this were the only factor, will that bring our taxing rates down? And
Most
by what?
definitely.
By how much?
If the budget remained the same, no additional
Right, yeah. No,
levies, or the levy remained the same rather, then of course the tax rate will go down. By how much?
Depends.
It depends.
I mean, it depends on
Marty
where you live.
would be best to answer that, but
Right.
you know the tax rate for the town general budget is around 75 cents per thousand of assessed value. So you know, I would imagine a penny or two would
For the
be the decrease.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
anything that,
School
yeah, I
district
know,
would
I
be
understand.
different. Yeah.
Got one question. I see some things I don't, what's sealing railroads?
Oh, so Sealing Railroad is roll section 7, of which we do not have any in the town of Ossining. Yes.
wow.
It's facilities, railroad facilities that are controlled and the valuation is dictated by the state. We do not have any here in the town or village of Ossining.
Wholly exempt, that churches or something?
Wholly exempt will be your non-for-profits, churches, school buildings, municipal buildings.
Any other questions?
Where would golf courses fall?
Golf courses are taxable. Our 2 golf courses are taxable in roll section 1, and they would be in the commercial, in the 600, in the 500 recreational category of properties.
500 versus 400? Not commercial,
Yes.
recreational.
Yes. So they are in the roll section 1 taxable. If it was a municipal golf course that is exempt, then it may be exempted, may or may not be exempted. It depends on how it's used. If it's a municipal golf course that is rented to an operator, most likely will be taxable. But if it's operated by the municipality or for all the residents, then it could be exempt. So prior to publishing the tentative roll, when we make assessment changes, we have to provide a notice to the owner of the property. So this year, we sent out about 3,000 assessment change notices because we changed values, whether it went up or down, to approximately 3,000 properties. Not only to advise them of the change in value, but also to advise them, remind them that if they do not agree with the assessment, they have the opportunity to file a grievance and seek administrative review by the Board of Assessment Review. And they will have until grievance day, which this year was June 18, to file a grievance. They have the option to present their grievance to the bar, to the Board of Assessment Review on grievance night, which is, it was June 18 between 5 and 9 p.m. Or they can just file a grievance and then the board will review it and make a determination whether to provide relief or not. And then after that, we will notify them of the Board of Assessments review decision, and if they still are not satisfied, they have the right and the option to seek judicial review by filing a small claim for residential property owners or an Article 7 certiorari for commercial property or non-owner occupied properties. So we track this every year. The next page, which I have given you, is a history of how many grievances have been filed since I've been here in 2012. And it can show you, and it it will show you the ups and downs. As you can see, the year of the reassessment in 2016, we had 625. This year, we had the same number of grievances as last year, 449, of which 193 were in the village of Ossining, 150 in the village of Briarcliff Manor, and 106 in the town outside. Of course, we track this and we compare to other municipalities. The trend this year has been more grievances, and the reason for that, the effects of the new tax laws on higher value properties are beginning to show in the marketplace, where in our case, the properties over 1.5 million are not selling as fast and as well, and that sense of lower value makes those property owners more apt to file agreements or to sign up with one of those companies to file agreements. So this is how we track it, and then eventually when after the final roll is published September 15, they will have 30 days to file a small claim or an Article 7 certiorari. So by October 15 through the 30th, then I will know how many small claims we will have and how many Article 7 certiorari we will have. So that is the process. That's how we get to the point of issuing refunds for those property owners whose assessment were changed by the courts, and they have meanwhile paid the full taxes. And based on the court's determination, if they get a reduction, then of course we have to refund them a portion of their taxes.
And unfortunately, sometimes the court doesn't get to them right away. So, and then they file for the following year, and then they file for the following year, and the court then hears them all of the years together in the tax court cases. And then what happens is the taxing jurisdictions have to come up with the money to refund them, because it's not decided in the year that they're paying the taxes, but the subsequent year. So if in fact the courts find that the assessment should have been lower, then we end up, all of the school district, the villages and the town all end up, and the county all end up having to pay back a portion of taxes. So many of us have reserves set up for that purpose. But basically what it means is that it comes out of expenses that, that the taxpayers have paid, the rest of the taxpayers have paid for their portion of the taxes. So
that is the case for commercial property certiorari's. For the most part, we try to resolve the small claims, the residential claims, prior to December, when the village of Ossining levies taxes on the new roll. But as you mentioned, for the Article 7 certiorari, many times, because of the court's backlog, by the time we get to process the case through the courts, they have accumulated 3-4 years. And as a result, of course, the refunds
and then the other thing that happens is, even for the small claims, that there are companies out there who basically take advantage of the people not knowing how to do this and say you should grieve your taxes, and they may get a whole slew all at once from one company that may or may not have any.
Yeah, typically, unfortunately, those assessment companies, they blanket the area with letters, and they take on anybody that signs up, whether they have a claim, or whether they have a case or not. And they file for them, and of course we have to process all that paperwork. And then they do not provide meaningful information to the Board of Assessment Review to make a determination. And basically, what is the meaningful information? It would be comparable sales, an appraisal report, to point out why they think that our assessment is incorrect. But basically, they're not interested in having the Board of Assessment Review make a determination. They just file a small claim, and then through the courts, then we have to deal with them, negotiate with them. In most cases, many of these assessments, before we sit down to discuss the cases that may have merit, many times they withdraw 50 to 60% of those grievances or those small claims rather. My message to the town residents: we have an open door policy. We are willing to sit down, discuss, and review your assessment anytime, especially prior to May 1st. But anytime you have time, if you think your assessment is not correct, or there is a reason why it should be changed, maybe a reason that we don't know. For example, contamination on the property, or new restrictions on the property that prevents building, etc. We're always willing to sit down and discuss your assessment and show you how we came up to that value, and if it merits a reduction, we will certainly like to do that prior to May 1st, when is the deadline for us to make changes and prepare for the tentative roll June 1st. What is important to notice that since 2016 roll, which is the first year of full value, the grievances have declined. Another thing that is important to notice is that while the total numbers of certioraries or court cases have declined a little bit, what is important to notice is that those cases, those claims are for a lot less numbers than what they were prior to the reassessment. With that, I'll give you.
Oh, I thought you had already handed this out. I'm showing everybody. Fine. Hold this.
Based on document the history of
You can really see the.
and basically this only includes the refunds from the Ossining School District, the town of Ossining, and the village of Ossining. I'm waiting on the village of Briarcliff Manor, the Briarcliff School District, and the county to provide me the data. So we look back at their total refunds since 2008. And if you see 2016, which is the year of the reassessment, you can see on the bar graph, we look at 2016, 2017, and 2018, those 3 years, as compared to the prior 3 years, 2015, 14, and 13, is a significant reduction in total refunds. Now, the peak of refunds was in 2012. That's when I came into the town and settled a lot of the accumulated certioraries for many, many years. So in 2012 and 2013, the number of refunds was very, very high, as you can see. But by just comparing the last 3 years to the 3 years prior to the reassessment, you can see that although the number of certiorari cases may not have dropped, the number of cases, and by the way, a case is one parcel ID and 1 year, that's one case. So certain properties, certain owners, or certain property owners such as Sleepy Hollow Country Club that has 6 parcels, those are 6 cases each year. So, but you can see that the reassessment, as a result of the reassessment, the refund, the amounts to be refunded are a lot less. And when you look at the total dollars that were spent, or that we have spent on reassessment and maintaining the roll, I think is very justifiable when you consider the drastic reduction in refunds, particularly by the school district.
Certainly remember being on the school board and having to approve all of the refunds, and just we couldn't really wait for the reval to be put into effect because we knew that it was going to greatly reduce the refunds. And obviously it has by a great deal. So that's great news. And our next step, are you going to talk about what's next?
Could I address that?
Yeah, I think on our agenda tonight, we have a resolution to conduct a request for proposals for another round of reappraisal. So if you want to just talk a little bit about that, Fernando, before we get to that in our agenda.
So in 2016, during the first year of the reassessment at full value, we, as I mentioned, we divided the entire town into municipalities with similar market qualities, etc., in order to come up with a system to value these properties. Analysis was done, land tables, etc., were done according to, of course, using market data, and a model was created in order to do what is called a CAMA valuation of the entire town, meaning a computer-aided mass appraisal. So those models are made based on the data, was done based on the data in 2016 and calibrated based on the sales for the prior 2 years. One thing to remember that for our valuation date for the 2019 roll, the valuation date is July 1st of the prior year, 2018. So we take sales from July 1st, 2018 back a year earlier and analyze those sales in order to come up with the adjustment for the 2019 roll. So our computer mass appraisal model was based on the 2016 roll data, and as such, adjustments have been made every year by neighborhoods in order to come up with the new value. So it is recommended and considered best practices by the International Association of Assessing Officers and the National Association and the State Association that a reappraisal be done on the 5th year. Next year will be our 5th roll since the reassessment in 2016. So what a reappraisal does is not only reviews the data, the sales, but it also recalibrates the model so that when we value properties, we're valuing property based on the new model versus using the old model. And then if that neighborhood got adjustment of 1% in 17 and 3%, we have to do those manual calculations. Not only is considered best practices, but it really is the right thing to do. And the reason for that in communities such as what we were up until 2015, where a reappraisal hasn't been done for many years, what happens is typically that the lower valued properties are paying more than their fair share, and their higher value properties are paying less than their fair share. As we remember in 2016, in order to mitigate that situation, the town board, with the help of the state, came up with an exemption in order to mitigate the drastic increase to some property owners whose assessment went up by more than 25%. That is not going to be the case this year, since we have maintained the roll. But what we need to do is not only recalibrate our models and our system, but also review all the properties after we come up with values to make sure that we haven't missed anything. One of the processes that is done, and it's an automated process, is we take our sketches that we have of every property, the footprint as we call it, and we will compare it to the recent flyover by the county to compare what the footprint that we have versus what the flyover photograph on this parcel. And we do that utilizing GIS and this system. If there is more than a 10% deviation from what it was photograph to what we have, then we must have missed something, whether it's a new deck or whether it's an extension, and that is one of the methods to review and make sure that we have the accurate data. Having fair and correct value is all about maintaining the raw inventory, meaning that when somebody builds a new bathroom, they get a building permit. We get the building permit for the department. We add it to our system. When they finish a basement, they get a building permit. When an extension or a new home is built, we update our role so that everybody is paying only the fair share.
Right. And the state also recommends every 5 years?
Yes.
Okay.
It's considered best practices and what is recommended by the state as the best way to maintain an equitable assessment role.
And presumably this is going to be less of heavy lift than it was the last time around?
Yes, it will be less heavy lift and less costly. The last time around, we spent about $1.2 million to do all 10,200 parcels. This process now, since we have more accurate and digitized data, is less invasive, and the cost will be between $27 and $30 per parcel versus $130, I think it was, the first go around. So you're looking about an estimate of about $270,000 to $300,000 for this process. Yes.
As we had borrowed more than we ended up spending, we still have money that in that project to pay for this.
Yes.
Fantastic. Are there any questions from the board? Did you have anything else that you want to talk about, or is that everything for you?
I think that's
okay.
about everything.
Board have any questions for Mr. Gonzalez? Thank you so much for this excellent explanation of where we are. And I really do want to just say thank you for all of the hard work to you as well as your department. And especially in the analyses, I think it really helps us to understand what the benefit of being at 100% of value is. It certainly makes it easier to analyze all of the properties and what's happening in terms of value throughout the town. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. I do recognize that I have the best staff in the assessment world, and I'm very proud of them and appreciate their hard work. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And next up, we have our town building inspector, John Hamilton, is going to give us a report.
Whatever he said.
John, also, I don't know if you got my message, but I forgot to ask you if you could stay for executive session this evening. So
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Could you please stay for executive session this evening?
Sorry about that.
Okay, thank you.
Well, good evening.
I guess this microphone isn't working.
From January to June, we did a little analysis here. We've issued a total of 186 permits plus an additional 359 alarm permits. The revenue line so far is $78,400. We budgeted revenue this year for $90,000, so we're going to definitely exceed that again, which will be something like the third or fourth time in a row that we've done that. I took a look at the projects going on. In Thornton Hill, we have one permit that's been issued on a 10-lot subdivision over there. River Knoll, as you mentioned, is currently in planning and working with you. Benaldi subdivision is a 10-lot subdivision on Stormy Town Road, and that's currently in the planning department. The MGM is a minor subdivision over on Hawks Avenue, which is in public hearings. The learning experience on North State Road is actually ready to get signed off. So they're just getting their approval resolution now, and hopefully we'll see some construction start on that right away. The Rayford DeVerne is a 2-house lot subdivision, and that's in for architectural review. Artis is going along rapidly now that the weather is nice up on North State Road. They've already starting to close the walls up. So they're really moving along. And Parth Knowles on the first building, they're already starting to close the walls up with the sheetrock. Second building, they're still working on the framing aspect of it. But we've been moving along. We're doing a lot of inspections. As the weather got nicer, they really kicked up, and just moving.
Okay. Do we have any questions for Mr. Hamilton? Of note? None? I will just mention that you were out with me at our town park, Cedar Lane Park, this morning. We had received a notice from Sunshine Home that they were offering free blasting surveys from the blasting company that's planning to do some work there. And we did take the opportunity to make sure that they took a look at all the structures in the town. And I certainly encourage anybody who lives in the town of Ossining to take advantage of that as well, where they will videotape all of your interior and exterior of your structures, make sure that there is no change. And then if there is a change, then you would actually have something to prove. And if you'd also like to do the same, I'm sure you can do that on your own as well. I just want to mention that, and thank you for coming out, making sure that they were taking a hard look at all of our important structures over there.
So
Okay.
our structure's good. I mean, we had our building inspector looking at all of our,
Yeah, well,
everything looked good over
some good, there's definitely some work that we have to keep doing.
there?
We're
Okay.
keep on working, and it was a good opportunity to take a look, see what we have to do. Okay, fantastic. Moving right along. I would like to invite anybody up who has a public comment on any of the agenda items. Okay, and hearing none, and move into our board resolutions.
Okay. Approval of minutes, regular meeting, June 11th, 2019. Resolved that the town board of the town of Ossining hereby approves the June 11th, 2018 minutes of the regular meeting as presented.
Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Abstentions.
Abstain. Okay, Ms.
Okay. Approval of voucher detail report. Resolved that the town board of the town of Ossining hereby approves the voucher detail report dated June 25th, 2019 in the amount of $368,424.59.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Okay, letter of interest, Hudson River Estuary Program and Cornell Climate Adaptive Design Studio. Resolved that the town board of the town of Ossining authorizes the supervisor's office to submit a letter of interest to the New York State Hudson River Estuary Program to become a host community for Cornell University's Climate Adaptive Design Studio for the fall 2019 semester.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
So Cornell University has a climate adaptive design studio. This allows landscape architecture students to evaluate the Hudson River waterfronts and make recommendations for how communities can make these vulnerable areas more resilient to the impacts of climate change, flooding, and sea level rise. This fall semester, through a partnership with the Hudson River Estuary Program, Cornell has offered up this program to communities through an application process. We're excited to be partnering with the Village of Ossining to submit a letter of interest and hopefully be selected as the next host community for this innovative program. Questions or discussion? None. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
CDBG application 2019 through 2021 cycle, Lewis Angle Park Performance Space and Comfort Station Relocation and Improvements revised. Resolved that the town board of the town of Ossining endorses the Community Development Block Grant CDBG application entitled Lewis Angle Park Performance Space and Comfort Station Relocation and Improvements with a revised total project cost of $578,425, $250,000 requested from the CDBG program, and $328,425 provided as a local match by the town of Ossining.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Oh, and I forgot to say, you know what, I'll say it on the next one because there's two resolutions, sorry.
CDBG application 2018-2021 cycle, Lewis Angle Park Beach and Playground Improvements revised. Resolved that the town board of the town of Ossining endorses the Community Development Block Grant CDBG application entitled Lewis Angle Park Performance Space and Comfort Station Relocation and Improvements with a revised total project cost. Oh, wait. This one's supposed to say Lewis Angle Park Beach and Playground Improvements, not Performance Space and
Okay.
Yeah, so, I guess with an amendment. Okay. With a revised total project cost of $640,425, $250,000 requested from the CDBG program, and $390,425 provided as a local match by the town of Ossining.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
As friendly, with a friendly amendment?
Yeah.
Okay. So for both of these, this is to revise our original community development block grant request to the county for improvements to Lewis Angle Park, including a contribution from the town to go towards completing a plan for the park with community input to inform the specific improvements that we will undertake. We are hoping that this contribution will illustrate the town's commitment to the project, and we will be recommended for funding in 2021 to implement some improvements to the park focused on the beach and playground areas, as well as a performance space and comfort station. And I just wanted to mention that our match is not just all cash. It can also be in-kind match, and much of the match for the town
In kind labor.
kind services. Yes,
Yes,
whether
and we will also have the opportunity to amend these applications one more time next year when we have a better picture of what we're doing, and hopefully it will come in a little bit under
yes,
what we're anticipating.
absolutely.
Okay, so one is for 20, one is for.
The Lewis Angle Park projects are for 2021. The community center renovation
2020.
is for 2020
Right.
to align with some HVAC stuff going on with the village at the same time.
And we continue also to apply for grants at the state level for planning, as well for Angle Park that
Trying to understand
related,
why there's-
because they're different areas. That's why we had to. One is for the performance space and comfort station relocation and improvements, and the other is for the beach and program improvements.
So it's
correct?
in-
All right, so
would
that's
have-
our,
That's
that's
the,
our amendment.
yes.
Yeah,
correct.
it's all in the same year, so that we're going to get $500,000 for 2 projects at Lewis Angle.
Okay.
That's the goal.
Okay.
Okay. So the next one is also going to have a friendly amendment. It's
We did vote on that already or not? Did we
Um,
vote? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Yeah, so the CDBG application 2019-2021 cycle, Community Center Improvement Initiative Kitchen Renovations for Senior Nutrition Program revised. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Ossining endorses the Community Development Block Grant CDBG application entitled, okay. Sorry about this. This is the same one over and over again. Community Center Improvement Initiative
Oh, we missed
Kitchen
one, sorry.
Renovations for Senior Nutrition Program, with a revised total project cost of $266,000, $133,000 requested from the CDBG program, and $133,000, not $133,425, provided as a local match by the Town of Ossining.
Okay, so with friendly amendments to make sure that this is actually for the kitchen renovations for the senior nutrition
Yes,
program.
I apologize.
Okay,
for-
it just somehow got duplicated 3 times, but
Yeah.
and to change the amount for the for the match to be 133,000 even,
Yeah.
those 2 extra some money. Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Okay, so let's see, did I talk about this already? As you know, because we had a great explanation already from Victoria Caffarelli, in addition to our requests for the improvements to Angle Park in 2021, we're also asking the county for grant funds to support the renovation of the Senior Nutrition Program kitchen in 2020. All those in favor? Aye. As amended? Anybody opposed?
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Okay, resolution circulation of requests for proposals for reevaluation services. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Ossining hereby authorizes the supervisor to circulate a request for proposal, RFP, for reassessment reappraisal services for the 2020 assessment roll, with work to be commenced no later than August 1st, 2019, with a submission deadline of Monday, July 22nd, 2019 by 10 a.m.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Okay, so in order to maintain our assessment roll at full value, as just mentioned, it is necessary to undergo a full reappraisal every few years, and specifically every 5 years, as recommended by the State of New York Office of Real Property Tax Services. We anticipate this appraisal to be much less of a lift than it was in 2014 and 15, when the town hadn't reappraised properties in over 40 years. This will affect the 2020 roll and the 2021 taxes. This resolution will authorize the town to issue an RFP for these services, and thank you to Town Assessor Fernando Gonzalez for keeping us on schedule. Any more discussion? Did I take a motion already? Okay.
Yep.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Okay. Authorizing the town to enter into an intermunicipal agreement, IMA, to enhance the safety of the Croton River area. Whereas the Croton River traverses the towns of Cortland and Ossining and the village of Croton on Hudson, the communities. And whereas over the last few years, the use of the Croton River Gorge Park and other access points to the river have created safety concerns for the park users as well as the residents whose properties abut the river. And whereas the aforementioned communities have worked collaboratively to provide more patrols to keep the area safe, and whereas the communities wish to continue this work and formalize their commitment, now therefore be it resolved that the town supervisor is authorized to enter into an IMA with the village of Croton and the town of Cortland to enhance the safety of the area surrounding the Croton River, and have the Ossining Police Department increase their patrols along the Croton River in the area of the Ossining, Croton, Cortland boundary line between May 15th and September 15th, 2019.
Do we have a motion?
Second.
So for the past few months, I've been working closely with our partners in Portland and Croton, to find solutions to better patrolling the area alongside the Croton River, state-owned forest land known as the Unique Area. This intermunicipal agreement will allow us to make this area safer by increasing patrols and appropriately targeting resources of the Ossining Police Department portion that we are responsible for in the unincorporated town during the summer months when recreation in the Croton River is most popular. I want to make sure that it's nice and safe there. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Contract Greater Ossining Chamber of Commerce Summer Concert Series and Food Truck Fridays. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Ossining hereby authorizes the supervisor to enter into an agreement with the Greater Ossining Chamber of Commerce to host the 2019 Summer Concert Series and Food Truck Fridays in Lewis Angle Waterfront Park under the terms and conditions provided in the contract, subject to approval by council to the town as to form.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
So this year, we partnered with the Greater Ossining Chamber of Commerce to help organize the Independence Day Fireworks, Summer Concert Series, and Truck Fridays. And this contract will formalize this arrangement. We thank them for their help in bringing some new ideas and new food trucks to Ossining and to fruition this year. Any questions? Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Okay. Permission to sell alcohol at the Town of Ossining Independence Day Fireworks, Broken Bow Brewery. Resolved that the Broken Bow Brewery is hereby authorized to operate a concession stand during the Ossining Independence Day Fireworks event held on July 3rd, 2019, rain date July 8th, 2019, at the Lewis Angle Waterfront Park in the town of Ossining, and to sell for consumption by persons over 21 years of age Broken Bow Brewery craft beer. And be it further resolved that the Broken Bow Brewery will also obtain all necessary permits, including an event permit from the New York State Liquor Authority, and will provide proof of insurance and the letter of indemnity to the town in a form acceptable to council to the town.
Do I have a motion? So the chamber has lined up some great vendors for the fireworks, including, I'm going to say Broken Bow Brewery. You know that it's Bow?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to say Bow. From Tuckahoe, which will be selling their craft beers, requiring the town to sign a landlord authorization form. We're glad to see vendors from near and far joining us for this event. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Okay. Correspondence to be received and filed. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Ossining hereby accepts the following: Town Planning Board meeting minutes dated April 17th, 2019. Zoning Board of Appeals Resolution 74 Croton Dam Road dated May 6, 2019. Zoning Board of Appeals Resolution 2 Baden Road dated May 6, 2019. Zoning Board of Appeals Resolution 52 Old Albany Post Road dated February 11th, 2019.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
If I could, sorry, could I just say one
I'm
thing?
sorry, sure.
In case anyone was wondering about the 52 Old Albany Post Road, the February 11th, 2019, that was an oversight on my part. I just wanted to let you know. I had drafted the resolution and hadn't submitted it to Sandy, and so I just realized that and sent it in to her. That's why it's only coming to you now.
Okay. Thanks for pointing that out. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Wrist slapping is in order. Okay, next up, we have no monthly reports, so visitor recognition on anything at all. Anybody here to address the board on anything that's on your mind? Going once, going twice, and gone. Thanks so much for joining us tonight, everyone. May I please have a motion to enter into executive session for personnel, advice of counsel, and collective bargaining?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I look forward to seeing everyone, and I mean you, at next Wednesday's Independence Day fireworks. That's July 3rd, and we do have that rain date July 8th, just in case. We have a work session currently scheduled for Tuesday, July 2nd. But given the difficulty of this holiday week, it is likely that we are going to cancel it and schedule a short special meeting in the morning to approve a personnel appointment. Just to let you all know, be on the lookout for that information coming up. I want to close this meeting in memory of two town staff members in our tax receiver's office. Our tax receiver, Honorable Holly Perlowitz, lost her dad this past week, Joseph Trachtenberg. He passed peacefully in his sleep at the grand old age of 93. Martha Quitasaka lost her mother, Bertha Tomei, unexpectedly last week and much too soon to cancer. We send out our deepest condolences to both women and their families. Thank you and have a great night.